ladies and gentlemen, in the PlayStation family, there has been a death. It is a day of mourning, it is a day of sadness, and it is a day that we will all remember, just as the day it all started with, on February 22nd, 2012. And that is the PlayStation Vita. What is going on, guys? It is your boy, TKD123 Video, and today we're going to talk about all the news revolving around the late and the great PlayStation Vita. Now I know, that intro was kind of, whatever, somber and all that, but we need to really sit down and discuss this, okay? We need to sit down and talk about it because it's been on my mind for a few weeks now, a few days now, maybe years at that. And recently it was announced officially by PlayStation, and just to preface this whole thing, right? Of course, it is no secret that PlayStation has definitely been kind of pushing Vita to the wayside. Whenever it was a few years back when they started not bringing it up during press conferences and E3 and even at PSX, and they were acting like the Vita didn't exist, even though it was very much, not very much, but it was still a thing to some people, including me. But beside the point, it's been a long time coming, and there's been a lot of other things that led to this, where you could kind of just see their support dwindle back. And I think maybe the biggest thing, at least the main thing that I saw, right? Of course they had their reasons to do this, right? But it is something that I kind of got reminded by when I started using the service a lot more, and that is PlayStation Now. Okay, of course PlayStation Now is their streaming service. They have over 700 games on the platform where you can go and play certain games from PS3 era, PS2 era, PS1 era, I think, as well, and even some PS4 games as well. And so you can stream those games via the internet to your console, and right now it's only on PS4 and Windows PC, and I believe Mac as well. I think Mac, I'm not really sure about Mac, but it used to be on a bunch of different stuff. It used to be on Sony Bravia TVs, it used to be on the PS3, and it used to be on the PlayStation Vita. However, it was, I believe, in 2017, I think they did this. They started to reel back in the service and have it only on Windows and PS4, and of course they had a obvious reason for that, and that's because they wanted to make the service a little better and wanted to kind of optimize it for less platforms to make it an overall better service and better experience for those that are using PS Now. So I get it, but to take it off of the PS3 and the PS Vita was a big telling thing, okay? I feel like the PS3 was less of a big deal, and maybe it would have been more if you look at it from an install base perspective, that a lot of people, bought the PS3. I think it's around 80 or 90 million, I believe, I'm pretty sure, something like that. I'm not really 100% sure on the actual numbers, but I think it's around 80 to 90 million of the PS3 sold and everything. And so to actually, have that removed would probably be a bigger deal than the Vita. But the Vita in itself was also very telling that, in terms of just the streaming services, like, with the PS4, that I think was a comparable kind of other way to play PS Now on a console-esque type thing, what I'm saying? Like, if you don't have a PS3, you just get a PS4 and do that, right? But to have PS Now on the go would have been such a great thing to have, and what would have been a great thing to do, and to not have it on their main handheld at that time was very telling about how much they truly care about the PS Vita, which is not that much. But to go into what happened today and last week, PlayStation came out and officially outlined that on the actual Japanese website of the PlayStation website, they said that they are no longer going to be manufacturing, and the production of the platform has ceased on the PlayStation Vita. And so it was something that obviously we all saw coming as PS Vita fans, as PS Vita Island fans. If you are a fan of Greg Miller and Conway Moriarty, they coined that phrase, Vita Island. But obviously we knew this was coming, okay? We knew that the Vita was not doing so hot over the last few years and everything, and it's just, I mean, to me, it is just sad. It is just sad to see this happen. Like, I know I may be a little bit dramatic here, but I have a long history with the Vita. I waited and saved up to get the Vita way back when I was in middle school, and it was something that I very much look forward to, and I adored the system. And I feel like, definitely, I think a lot has to play into why the Vita, failed and everything. There's a lot of things that we can talk about as to why the Vita wasn't, what PlayStation wanted to be in terms living up to the PSP's era, because the PSP was legendary. The PSP was iconic. A lot of people love the PSP. I had multiple PSP models. I love the PSP as well, and there was there's a lot of reasons why the PS Vita didn't, live up to that, right? And that was because they moved a lot of what they had done on the PSP and just didn't do it right, or tweaked it a little bit to its negative detriment on the PS Vita, right? So for example, the memory card situation. A lot of people bring up the memory cards on the PS Vita, and I agree with it. It is insane. Literally a 64 gigabyte PS Vita memory card cost $100 for me back when I bought it. $100. I'm sure now you can buy it for less, whatever, but $100 is insane for a 64 gigabyte card. That is crazy to me. I bought my 3 terabyte hard drive for less than $100, like literally, you know what I'm saying? So it is just insane, how they did that, and how they just had all this proprietariness, and that also translated into how you would even charge the Vita from the first generation model, not the second one, because the redesign went to a micro USB type style, so that was really good. But the first PS Vita 1000, it had this proprietary weird charging port, and it was just super just not the way to go, like it was just very weird how they kind of had this closed off, like you had to use this memory card, you had to buy it from Sony, you had to use this type of charging port, you had to buy it from Sony, you know what I'm saying? So that, I think, has a lot to do with it. But in terms of games, it is very much, I guess, it is just like this stigma that follows the Vita, that there just weren't games on the system, and I highly disagree. Like, there were a ton of good games in it. We have a full Uncharted Golden Abyss on the Vita, right? We had Killzone Mercenary, which was one of the greatest FPSs on a handheld, period. And speaking of FPSs, we also had a third-person shooter game called Unit 13, which I loved and adored as well. That one was super fun. Sometimes I think about the game and want to go back to it. I'm pretty sure I still have it on my Vita. I have to go double check and see, but I loved Unit 13 with all my heart. Unit 13 was amazing. I spent hours on that game. And even games that weren't really that good, including Resistance, Burning Skies, I think it's called. I think it was Burning Skies. That was actually the one and only Resistance I really ever played. I played Resistance Retribution on the PSP as well. So I got Resistance Burning Skies, and that was a pretty good as well. It was a really good title. I liked it a lot, and it wasn't regarded as one of the best, Resistance games, but it was pretty good. But then we have some of the games that are well regarded on the Vita platform, right? And that's Velocity 2X. I love Velocity 2X. Velocity 2X is amazing. It is a top game on the Vita. Like, you had to play Velocity #1, okay? Velocity 2X and Ultra, okay? Then there was Rayman Legends. There's Guacamelee. I loved it. I just beat that, recently this year. I loved it, and I'm currently playing through Tearaway, but I know that one is regarded as one of the best Vita games as well. I'm still playing through that right now. I'm still trying to chug along and get that, completion on that game. So I'll let you know how Tearaway goes, probably in the Cross Circle podcast. But Tearaway was amazing. Hotline Miami was one of the greatest games I've ever played in my entire life, hands down. And I don't think I ever beat the second one. I just think something else came to my, list, and I just totally disregarded, or not disregarded, but I think I just got sidetracked from beating Hotline Miami 2, but that one is another really good one as well. But there are just tons of games you could lay them. Even Little Big Planet on the PS Vita, that one was also great. And I know everyone talks about Persona 4 Golden. Even Christian over here on the channel wants me to play Persona 4 Golden. I don't know if I'll ever play Persona 4. I feel like I might. Maybe someday I'll pick it up and see how it is, and I'll tell you all, man, is really good. I'm sorry for just totally disregarding that game, but maybe I will in the future. But I know that one is a very good one, and there are a ton of just really quality great games. And also one that I completely forgot about till literally just this second, Freedom Wars. Oh my god, guys, if you can get your hands on the Vita, please play Freedom Wars. It is, oh my god, that one's so good. On Metacritic, I don't know why it's this low. On Metacritic, it's 73. That's absurd. That is truly absurd. That's appalling. Now, also what I found interesting was that on the bottom of the list on Metacritic of games that were rated by, Metacritic and accepted into their Metascore, we have Call of Duty Black Ops Declassified on the bottom, which I agree with. It was not that good of a game. It was not good. It was like fun, kind of, like super kind of. Well, with all that being said, there are a ton of other games that I still haven't even gone to that I would like to go to, even though Batman Arkham Origins Blackgate has a pretty low score. I do want to eventually get back to that and really play through that, because a lot of people definitely do recommend it, at least in the Vita community, so I definitely do want to play that game and everything. And there's just a ton of other games, including, oh my god, Mortal Kombat. I do bring up Mortal Kombat on the Vita. Oh man, Gravity Rush. Oh man, there are so many good games on the Vita, okay? Especially Gravity Rush. Gravity Rush is great. And I think, you know, to even add on to these slaps in the face that Vita has gotten from PlayStation and everything, it was not bringing Gravity Rush 2 to PS Vita. Now, I understand that they wanted to go bigger on Gravity Rush 2. They wanted to make it a better experience, technically, you know what I'm saying, like from a console standpoint. So I totally get why they wouldn't bring over the Gravity Rush 2 to the Vita, because I'm pretty sure it would not run on that. But it was just kind of like, man, like Gravity Rush started on the Vita, and they just brought it, and they just took it away from the Vita community. It was sad. It was sad. But I understand that point. I understand it. But you know, before I think of another game and totally get off track, whatever, let's discuss the Vita's end sales, okay? Let's just discuss I want to, you know, touch on the sales and the attach rates on the Vita, okay? So to start off with here, according to VG charts, okay, the PlayStation Vita is the 21st position on the list of consoles. It looks like, according to VG charts, that the PS Vita globally has sold around 16.1 million units, okay, and that is only from numbers that have been released, okay, and so that, you know, it very well could be a higher number at this point, probably not that much higher than 16.10, admittedly, but you know, that is where it's at. And to kind of just give in the context how much of a step down the Vita was in terms of sales, the PlayStation Portable, the PSP, our you know, shining bright, you know, awesome PlayStation Portable console, sold 80.82 million units. So that one in itself was definitely a big gap there in terms of sales and everything, and so that definitely plays into, you know, how much you know, the Vita was definitely a step down in terms of PlayStation Portable, you know, consoles. But what's very interesting to also take away here, that one last thing I want to bring up here, is that the attach rate to PS Vita, okay? I think for PS4, I think it's 4 right now, I think. And so if you guys don't know what attach rate is, I'll say it real quickly. So the attach rate of a console is how many software sales, or how many games, to be, you know, more layman's terms, how many games are sold per console, okay? So on average, you know, what it means for the PS4 to have a 4 attach rate is that for every PS4 sold, there's about 4 games on average that people buy, you know what I'm saying? So for every one PS4, there's 4 games for that console, right, that were sold overall, okay? And I think it's around 4. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's around 4. But with the Vita, there isn't really a set number on how many games there are sold for that attach rate. Like, we don't even really know you know, the official attach rate for the PS Vita. But if we look at this, you know, really quick game facts message boards, you know, stats here, whatever, like someone just went and just made a poll, the highest one here that was voted on was between 22 and 24 games per Vita console, right? Now, obviously, let's just take it back here, hold up. If you're on GameFAQs and you're a Vita fan, you're pretty hardcore, right? Like that, you're pretty hardcore, right? And even amongst that whole, there were only 48 votes, and 37% of that 48 votes said that they owned 22 to 24 games on Vita, right? And so obviously, this is a pretty bad metric, you know what I'm saying? Because they're pretty hardcore at GameFAQs message board, so obviously, you know, that's very much a biased, you know, way to look at the attach rate. But I would willing to bet that the attach rate for the Vita is very high, right? I feel like if you're a Vita owner, you know, that is why we were called a Vita Island. Like, that's how the phrase came to be, and was that you know, there over the years were less games coming for the Vita, and so we would just buy anything that came out. Like, if it was remotely interesting, remotely good, I'd be more willing to buy a Vita game over like a PS4 game I was interested in, just because there were so little games coming in the last few years of the Vita, right? And honestly, I know I'm biased because I love the Vita, and I've been a Vita fan since literally day one in the US, like since it came out, and I followed its inception of you know, when it was in development and everything, and when it was getting released in Japan a year, I believe, or a few months before the North American market and everything. So I've been a fan of Vita for a long time, right? But I can honestly say, like, there were genuinely great games on the Vita, right? And it's just sad to see this console go, honestly. You know, for me, it's very sad, just because, just to get a little, you know, I guess personal here on this video, you know, growing up, I wasn't allowed to play the PlayStation 3 or the PlayStation 2 during the weekday. Like, I was not allowed because I was told to focus on school and focus on studying, and I was not allowed to play any of my consoles during the week, right? However, that didn't account for the PS Vita or the PSP. So that's why I loved those consoles, because I had a lot more playtime with them as opposed to the PS3 or the PS2. And so that's why I personally love the Vita. It's a great console. I love the games on it. I'm very much attached to it, and it is sad to see it finally. Not finally. It's sad to see it kind of go in this way, and I just wish that there was a little bit more love taking care of the Vita. But I understand PlayStation's a business. If it wasn't selling, it's not gonna get the support that it does. Like if we like the PS4 or the PSP, you know what I'm saying? Like, those two were very much supported because there were numbers of the consoles sold behind those consoles, and that was just not the same with the Vita. And so Vita, may you rest in peace, my man. I'm gonna pour out a drink for you, homie. Big ups to the PlayStation Vita. And that is all I gotta say for this video, guys. If you all enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the video, as well as stay subscribed to PlayStation Source to keep up with the latest and greatest in PlayStation. And make sure to also check out our description down below, where you can find our Twitter and Twitch down below. Make sure to follow our Discord as well in that description. You can find a link down there. We're all talking about, probably not Vita, but we're talking about a bunch of other stuff for all my PlayStation. Make sure to go check out that Discord link down below. Thank you for watching, and as always, greatness awaits.